One of the most frequent questions I get asked out here in Loch Ness is obviously the Loch Ness Monster, and do I personally believe in the monster? I'm not such a fan of a dinosaur swimming around here in Loch Ness. I'm not really a plesiosaur kind of guy, but for me, definitely a mystery. There's been over 1,000 recorded sightings of monsters or creatures being seen in Loch Ness. And for over 1,000 people to report seeing something, they genuinely believe. All the people I've ever spoken to genuinely believe in what they have seen as an actual living creature.
Dinosaurs. Once, they were the rulers of this planet, magnificent beings that dominated the skies with their wings and the land with their claws. Their massive strides dictated the rhythm of the earth, and everything in their shadow bore witness to their power. But one day, they quietly vanished from the stage of history. Or perhaps it's more accurate to say that we thought they disappeared. Because even now, some believe that a few of those ancient dinosaurs from millions of years ago might still be alive, hidden in the depths of Loch Ness. Welcome to the second part of our series on Nessie. In this segment, we'll discuss an intriguing project and then delve deeper into its findings, as well as share surprising details about Nessie's deep-rooted history that we didn't cover in the first installment. Recently, an extraordinary event took place, but this event wasn't your typical hunting expedition. Deep in the heart of Scotland, in the mystical waters of Loch Ness, hundreds of enthusiasts gathered with a clear goal to pursue the Loch Ness Monster. Thus, the most comprehensive expedition in the last half-century was launched to uncover the legendary creature believed by countless observers over the centuries to exist. But was the monster caught this time? How was the hunt initiated? On August 26th and 27th, enthusiasts from all over the world came together for the largest hunt for the Loch Ness Monster in 50 years. The Loch Ness Centre in Scotland announced that the two-day event would involve scanning the waters using new technologies to find the legendary creature. Dubbed the Quest Weekend, this event marked the most extensive search for the monster, lovingly referred to as Nessie, in over half a century. The previous most comprehensive investigation was conducted by the now-defunct Loch Ness Investigation Bureau. Founded in 1962, this group received $20,000 in funding, equivalent to over $202,000 today, considering inflation, to pursue its mission. However, by 1972, the investigations concluded without any definitive findings. For this event, participants were given the opportunity to join in person or follow the search live from their homes. Volunteers registered for the event via an online form and were stationed at one of 6 observation points around the 23-mile-long lake to watch for the monster. For those unable to visit Scotland, the local tourism authority provided live streams from webcams set up around the lake. Additionally, participants had the chance to join Captain Alistair Matheson of the Loch Ness Project to explore the famous lake's depths. The local tourism center stated that official Nessie sightings should reveal distinct facial features. Loch Ness Center General Manager Paul Nixon expressed his excitement for the event, saying, "This weekend offers an unprecedented opportunity to search the waters like never before. We can't wait to see what we'll discover." His full statement was as follows: "We are the custodians of this unique story, and we are committed not only to creating unforgettable experiences for visitors, but also to continuing to explore and uncover the mysteries beneath the waters of the famous loch. This weekend provides a unique chance to search the waters in ways never attempted before, and we are eagerly anticipating what we might find." The Loch Ness Centre in Scotland had announced that they were seeking promising monster hunters for this renowned and legendary search for the Loch Ness Monster. The announcement on the Loch Ness website was titled "Calling All Monster Hunters" and read as follows: "The search for Nessie begins with the largest exploration of the loch in over 50 years. 90 years after a famous sighting, we need a new generation of monster hunters to uncover the truth." In collaboration with the Loch Ness Exploration Research Team, high-tech equipment that had never before been used in the area was deployed, according to the organization's statements. This included thermal drones capable of detecting temperature changes to identify signs of life in the loch, and hydrophones designed to detect Nessie-like sounds. What happened during the hunt? From the surface exploration, it was confirmed that multiple potential sightings were reported via the Quest observation forums. A virtual volunteer reported seeing a large shadow moving just beneath the surface before vanishing. Do you believe the object was debris? No, it was too large. A large form appeared moving right to left under the surface on the screen. You can see it in the photos, moving approximately 15-20 feet before descending again. Shortly afterward, the form resurfaced for about a minute before disappearing below the surface again. Maddie and Aga, 2 volunteers from Hull, cancelled their planned trip to the Lake District to join the Quest weekend. On Sunday, August 27th, at 6:30 a.m., they reported seeing something unusual on the lake, described as moving humps that later disappeared. They stated, "We couldn't explain what we saw, but it was quite impressive." Another virtual volunteer recorded something emerging from the lake on their screen. They commented, "At 11:05 a.m., a boat departed toward Fort Augustus, and you can see its wake at the front. I don't think the object is related to the wake. It appears to be a separate incident. First, a long, narrow object surfaces, followed by a rounded black hump-like figure that rises and submerges. Take a look at the screenshots and judge for yourself. Could it be an otter or a seal? What do you think?" Hydrophone findings. Alan McKenna, along with curious guests aboard the Deep Scan cruise, tested the hydrophone for functionality just one day before the Quest weekend began. While confirming the equipment's reliability, they detected 4 mysterious and previously unheard high-pitched sounds from the depths of the loch. Unfortunately, the crucial moment wasn't recorded amid the excitement. However, all the guests on board heard the sounds. During the search, no other unusual sounds were reported on Saturday or Sunday mornings. Thermal imaging drones. Several weeks prior, Dragonfly Films approached us with an offer to conduct a thermal imaging drone survey in the bay as part of the Quest weekend. Excited about the potential new evidence this technology could uncover, we were thrilled to have them join the major exploration. The survey proceeded as planned, and we're happy to share that their footage will be included in their documentary set to release later this year. Like everyone else, we eagerly await the results. Loch Ness and its legendary monster. Loch Ness, located in Scotland, is an impressive lake that reaches depths of up to 230 meters. While this depth might not seem extraordinary at first glance, its 39-kilometer length makes it the largest freshwater source in Great Britain by volume. In fact, even if you combined all the lakes in England and Wales, they wouldn't surpass the amount of water contained in this vast lake. Given its immense size, one might argue that there's plenty of space for a monster to hide. Size often defines the scale of the mystery. For nearly 1,400 years, people have felt the presence of something in these waters. Known as the Loch Ness Monster, this mystical being is affectionately called Nessie by many. Did Saint Columba see Nessie? Saint Columba, 521-597, was a Christian saint born in Ireland, known for his missionary work in Scotland. In 565 AD, during a missionary journey to convert the Picts to Christianity, Saint Columba is said to have encountered the Loch Ness Monster. According to the legend, Columba saw a man being attacked and dragged under by the monster in a river connected to Loch Ness, likely the River Ness. The victim's funeral had already taken place by the time Columba heard of the incident. In response, Columba instructed one of his followers, Luin Mokumin, to swim across the river. As the monster rushed toward Luin, Columba raised his hand and commanded, "Halt! Do not go further. Do not touch the man. Turn back immediately." The monster stopped in its tracks, retreated as if pulled by invisible chains, and Luin returned unharmed. However, the historical accuracy of this story is uncertain, as it may have been altered over time. Regardless, it remains one of the earliest written accounts of the Loch Ness Monster. Nessie in the modern era. In 1933, George Spicer, a prominent businessman, and his university-educated wife reportedly witnessed the creature while driving along the northern shore of the loch. They described their encounter as follows. For a full minute, it rolled and dove, its body resembling that of a whale, and the water churned like a boiling cauldron. This story marked the beginning of the use of the term monster to describe this mysterious entity. The second sighting occurred 2 months later, in July 1933. A wealthy individual and their spouse, driving along the same route, described the creature as having a long, undulating neck, thicker than an elephant's trunk. They excitedly added, "It was the closest encounter with a dragon or prehistoric animal I've ever experienced in my life." The creature was now being described not just as a monster, but also as a dinosaur-like plesiosaur. Dinosaurs once roamed this earth. Could some have somehow survived in this lake? What does science say about Nessie? Studies on plesiosaur ecology indicate that this species went extinct approximately 65 million years ago. But let's entertain a hypothetical scenario. If some plesiosaurs had managed to survive in an isolated ecosystem like Loch Ness, how might that have been possible? Scientific analysis reveals that about 10,000 years ago, there was no lake in this region. For a species like plesiosaurs to sustain a population for 10,000 years in the newly formed lake, there would need to be sufficient genetic diversity. Biodiversity studies suggest that at least 20 breeding individuals would be necessary to maintain a viable population over this period. If there were fewer than 20 individuals, the species would face extinction due to genetic bottlenecks. Thus, if more than 20 plesiosaurs inhabited the loch, sightings should be far more frequent. Yet this is not the case. Moreover, the idea of a creature thought to have gone extinct 65 million years ago, living in a lake only 10,000 years old, is deemed scientifically implausible. However, if Nessie were real and discovered, it could fundamentally alter what we understand about natural history. Some researchers believe the monster could be a giant eel. However, Professor Henry H. Bauer of Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University stated, "All evidence points to the presence of creatures living in the depths of the loch. However, the data we have does not support the idea that these creatures are giant eels." Many Nessie enthusiasts have long speculated that the monster could be a prehistoric reptile resembling a plesiosaur, with a small head and long neck, as described in Scottish folklore. Skeptics, however, argue that plesiosaurs required a saltwater environment to survive, making Loch Ness an unsuitable habitat. Yet recent findings have introduced a twist. Plesiosaurs were not limited to the seas, they lived in freshwater too. Yet, fossil records show that the last plesiosaurs ultimately went extinct 66 million years ago, alongside the dinosaurs. Maybe the answer we seek isn't in the forest's depths or the lake's dark waters, but within ourselves. Nessie reminds us to question the mysteries of our existence, and these mysteries may very well be the greatest enigmas waiting to be solved. Stay curious and take care.